Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dourson, you and the organization you have led, known as Toxicology Excellence for Risk Assessment, have been routinely paid and funded by chemical companies and polluters defending the need for weakened chemical safety standards. For example, in 2014 and 2017, you led 2 industry-funded studies that defended a safe level of exposure to the carcinogen 1,4-dioxane that is 1,000 times greater than EPA's health-based safety level, 350 parts per billion versus EPA's 0.35 parts per billion, 1,000 times greater exposure to dioxin. Dioxin is an industrial chemical found in a wide range of products and known to frequently contaminate water systems. According to water sampling studies conducted by the Environmental Working Group, water supplies for more than 7 million Americans in 27 states are contaminated with the chemical at a level higher than EPA's health-based standard. Just last year, the EPA announced dioxin to be one of the first chemicals to be evaluated by the office to which you were nominated under the new Toxic Substance Control Act, which I helped to write. Given your recent work defending a 1,000 times weaker safety standard for dioxin than what the EPA determined will cause cancer, will you recuse yourself from working on this chemical if you receive confirmation for this position?
Senator, I worked with a team of groups, including 5 different U.S. states, 3 different international organizations.
Will you recuse yourself from the consideration of dioxin?
Several consulting firms and several industries to advance the science that EPA put out in its 2013 document.
Will you recuse yourself? Will you promise not to weaken the standard the EPA has set to protect the public's health against the carcinogen dioxin? Will you not weaken that standard?
If confirmed, I would bring new science and thinking into the agency and work
Your science says that dioxin can be exposed to by human beings at 1,000 times greater rate than the EPA has determined is safe for human beings. Will you recuse yourself?
This new information is new information and new science since the time of the EPA document.
You're not going. I hear you. You're not going to give us a commitment, Mr. Dourson. And what's going to happen is, when you arrive at the EPA, you're going to have been the defendant's chemical lawyer, who then becomes the judge over the very science, bogus science, which you have been propounding. You're not just an outlier on this science. You're outrageous in how far from the mainstream of science you actually are. They're giving out the Nobel Prizes in chemistry this week. If there was a Nobel Prize in chemistry in reverse, you would be the clear winner this week in the United States and the world. This is an absolute atrocity. Let me move on then to TCE, a volatile organic compound and common industrial solvent that has been linked to cancer, congenital heart defects, other health issues. It is a route by which humans actually contract cancer. Because of the wide range of health concerns that can occur through even short-term exposure to TCE, the EPA has proposed banning TCE in commercial vapor degreasing and dry cleaning. Other uses of the chemical have been prioritized by the EPA for assessment under the updated TSCA law. A study you led and funded, Mr. Dourson, in 2016 proposed a safety range for TCE that is 1.5 to 15 times less protective than the EPA's own drinking water standard. Given that the EPA will soon be finalizing its proposals on TCE for certain uses and assessing the remaining uses for regulation. Will you commit to not working to weaken the standards the EPA has already proposed?
Again, Senator, based on existing science, EPA came out with an assessment. Subsequent to that science, I work with a consortium of individuals and groups of various sectors to bring additional science to EPA's good questions. It's inappropriate for me to prejudge an issue, but if confirmed, I will ensure that the issue is fully and fairly considered in a publicly transparent manner.
Mr. Dourson, it's pretty clear that you have never met a chemical you didn't like, and your previous studies have already prejudged the exposure. You are a scientist who already did work on this subject, and you have come to conclusions which are fundamental threats to the public health and safety of this country. You should commit here to recusal on the issues where you have already reached conclusions.
The published paper we used, Senator, was using U.S. EPA safe doses and also EPA's method for estimating ranges.
The EPA found 1.5 to 15 times higher risk than you did, and that is not consistent with the conclusion the EPA.
There'll be a second round of questions, Senator, for your opportunity.